Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the last lecture of chapter 2 of biology. Okay, this is about levels of organization. My dear students, we have spent a lot of time looking at what is inside a cell, but now we need to look at how cells work in the real world. By definition, the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of every living thing, and it is the building block of life. And in multicellular organisms, these cells do not work alone. They are organized into increasingly complex groups to perform specific jobs efficiently. In a complex organism like human or plant, cells do not look the same. They undergo a process called differentiation. Think of this as a cell choosing a carrier. Okay, to do a specific job, they develop unique shapes and change their internal parts, like having more mitochondria for energy or growing long extensions. This specialized design allows them to carry out roles, different functions that a generic cell simply could not. For example, ciliated cells. Our first specialist is the ciliated cell. You will find these lining your nose, trachea, and bronchi. Their standout feature is a set of tiny hair-like extensions called cilia. And these cilia are not just sitting there, they flick in a continuous rhythmic motion. Their job is to move a stream of mucus, which has trapped dust and bacteria, up and away from your lungs. It is your body's internal broom system. And the next example is we have nerve cells, which are also called as neurons. These are the long distance communicators. Their most striking feature is the axon. This is the axon. Okay, this is a very long fiber-like extension. Because the axon is a long, it allows the cell to conduct electrical impulses over massive distances. This is how a signal can travel from your toe all the way to your spinal cord in a split of second. A normal round cell could never bridge that gap. Okay, just like animals, plants also have cells which specialize to stay alive. So now we are looking at three heavy hitters: root hair cell, xylem vessel, and the palisade mesophyll. Each one is a masterpiece of design. First of all, we shall discuss about root hair cells. Okay, these are underground cells. Their standout feature is a long hair-like projection that reaches out between soil particles. This design is not for looks. It provides a massive surface area for absorbing water and mineral salts. They also have very thin walls, cell walls, okay, which shortens the distance water has to travel during osmosis process, making the whole process incredibly efficient. Next is the xylem. Okay, these are actually dead cells joined end to end to form long hollow tubes like here. Okay, long hollow tubes, sort of like biological straws. There was a thickened with a tough waterproof substance called lignin. The xylem does two big jobs. Number one is transport, okay, by carrying water and minerals from the roots all the way to the leaves, and they also provide support. That lignin is so strong that it prevents the tubes from collapsing under pressure and helps the whole plant stay upright. Finally, we move to the leaf that is found right under the upper surface, the palisade mesophyll cells. These are column-shaped and packed with a high density of chloroplasts. Okay, these are palisade mesophyll cells, and here is chloroplast. Okay, this is the cytoplasm, this is the vacuole, this is the cell wall. Okay, and this is here is the nuclear membrane, nucleus. Okay, you can find that all those are parts which we discussed earlier in this chapter. You can also you can look at these here. You can look all those here. Okay, so because of their shape and position, they act like a wall of solar panels, perfectly arranged to maximize the absorption of sunlight for photosynthesis. This is where the plant makes its food. So being at the top and full of chlorophyll is key. So you should remember here that root hair cells grab the water. Okay, root hair cells grab the water. Xylem moves this water from the roots to the all parts of the plant. And then the palisade cells, they use this water with sunlight to make energy. It is a perfectly coordinated system from root to leaf. As an exam tip, if you have a question about surface area, remember that the root hair cell is almost always the intended answer. If the question is about waterproof support, then that is the xylem. This is a brief summary table of various cell types present in animals and in plants. First of all, ciliated. These are tiny hair, okay, which are cilia. Their main function is moving mucus and bacteria away from lungs. Then nerve. These are long fiber extensions. Their main function is conducting electrical impulses. Then in plants, that is the root hair. They are long projection. Their large surface area is very efficient to absorb water. The the second one in case of plants, that is the xylem. These have lignified walls. There are no cell contents. Okay, their main function is water transport and physical support. And the last one is palisade. These are columnar and they have many chloroplasts. Their primary function, main function is maximize photosynthesis. So remember, cells are the individuals and tissues are the teams. And without this organization, large organisms simply could not perform their functions. And when you describe these cells in an exam, always use the phrase large surface area for root hair cells and conducting impulses for nerve cells to pick up easy marks. Okay, that is a hint for you. Now, as we have seen how individual cells specialize, but in biology, they rarely work alone. A tissue is defined as a group of similar cells which work together to form a shared specific function. It is the first step in building a complex body. So, in animals, one of the most important examples is muscle tissue. This tissue is made of long muscle fibers which have one very special ability. They can contract. Okay, whether it is a skeletal muscle that helps you run or the specialized muscle in your heart and gut that moves blood and food. This tissue is all about creating movement throughout the body. Next, we have nervous tissues. Okay, this is the body's high-speed internet. It is made of specialized cells called neurons, which are bundled together. The function of this tissue is to conduct electrical impulses, and this allows for lightning fast communication and coordination, ensuring that your brain, spinal cord, and every limb are always in synchronization. Next one is xylem tissue. Okay, plants have tissues which are just as specialized. For example, xylem tissue, that is a perfect example of how form fits function. It is made of dead, hollowed out cells with walls reinforced by lignin, as we discussed in previous slide. Okay, this unique structure allows it to do two massive jobs. It acts as a plumbing system to transport water from roots to other parts of the tree, okay, and mineral ions from the roots up to the leaves, and it provides the physical support which keeps the plant standing tall against gravity. So remember, a tissue is not just a pile of cells. It is a coordinated team where it's moving, thinking, or transporting water. The tissue works because its cells are all pulling in the same direction. Now, as we have moved from cells to tissue, so this is a quick recap from cells to tissue. Okay, first of all, muscle cells. Okay, muscle cells, they are made up of muscle tissues. Muscle cells make muscle tissue, and their main function is contraction and movement. Neuron cells, they come together to form nervous tissue. Okay, their main function is signaling and coordination. Then xylem vessel, their main function is water transport. Palisade cell, they make mesophyll tissue. Okay, the main function is photosynthesis. In this diagram, in this picture, you can easily understand that how cells form tissues. Okay, epithelium, then tubule, then muscle tissue, and then gland. Okay, you can easily understand this diagram. So our students often confuse about tissues with organs. Remember, a tissue is made of one type of cell. Okay, and an organ, which we will cover next, is a collection of different tissues working together. So my dear students, welcome to organ level. Okay, if a tissue is a team of similar workers, an organ is a complete department. It represents a much higher level of coordination. While a tissue is made of similar cells, an organ is a functional unit built from different types of tissues. So the concept here is the major function. The big idea here is that an organ is a structure designed to perform a specific major function for the organism. For example, think of the heart, the lungs, or a leaf. These are not just random collections of cells. They are precisely engineered tools that the body uses to stay alive, and each organ has one main goal, but it needs a variety of skills to achieve it. Next one is coordination. Okay, in an organ, every tissue contributes its unique skill to the overall mission. For example, take the heart. It needs muscle tissue to provide the physical power to pump blood. It needs nervous tissues to act as the electrical timer, telling the muscle exactly when to pump. And it even needs connective tissue to give it shape and epithelial tissue to line its chambers. If even one of these tissues stops working, the entire organ fails. Secondly, this is very important to remember that that plants have organs. Those are also have organs. Okay, but before that, I think we should discuss that here. Okay, that we can say that leaf is a perfect example of an organ. It contains mesophyll tissue, as we have discussed earlier. Those mesophyll tissue perform the function of photosynthesis. Okay, and xylem tissue, which bring in water, and epidermal tissue to protect the surface. So all these different tissues work together for one major goal, that is making food for the plant. Now that we have come to know that an organ is a collection of different tissues, let's look at the engines which power life. We will look at two vital animal organs and one essential plant organ to see how they are built. First of all, the heart, which is the body's pump. The heart is perhaps the most famous organ. To pump blood effectively, it needs a team of specialists. Briefly, it has been discussed in the previous slide, but here in this slide, on this slide, you can see epithelial tissues, okay, muscle tissues, nervous tissues, okay, which we discussed in the previous slide. But briefly, just to recap that previous slide, we should discuss that also here. The first of all, muscle tissue, okay, the heavy lifter, which these are heavy lifter which provide the force to contract and squeeze blood. Then the nervous tissue, which is the internal pacemaker that coordinates the rhythm so the chambers beat in the right order. Then the epithelial tissue, okay, epithelial tissue, which is a smooth lining for the chambers to ensure blood flows with minimal friction, and together these tissues achieve one massive function, pumping blood throughout the entire body. The second one is about lungs. Okay, its job is to swap gases between the air and your blood, and it uses a different set of tools. First of all, epithelial tissues. Okay, epithelial tissues. These are extremely thin layers which allow oxygen and carbon dioxide to pass through easily. Then the connective tissue. Okay, connective tissue. These provide the elasticity so your lungs can expand and snap back every time you breathe. Then the smooth muscle tissue. Okay, these are the smooth muscle tissues which are found in the bronchioles to help regulate how much air flows in and out. So the major goal here is very simple, but life saving. That is the gas exchange which the lungs perform. Finally, let's look at a plant organ, that is the leaf. Okay, this is the leaf. It is the primary site of photosynthesis and it is a marvel of layered engineering. First of all, the epidermis, okay, this is the skin which provides protection and prevents water loss. Next one is the mesophyll, which is the powerhouse tissues, a tissue where the actual photosynthesis happens. Then the xylem and phloem, they transport tissues. These are transport tissues which bring in water and carry away the sugar made in the leaf. So without this coordination of tissues, the plant could not breathe or eat. So remember, an organ is like a specialized machine. Whether it is a heart, a lung, or a leaf, every tissue inside has a specific job that contributes to the organ's overall success. Regarding an exam tip, you can read out that on this slide that this is the most common trick question in IGCSE biology. If the question describes a group of similar cells, the answer is tissue. Similar cells means group of similar cells, answer is tissue. If it describes different tissues working together, the answer is organ. For example, a leaf is often used as a trick question because students think of it as a part of a plant, but biologically, it is a fully functional organ. As we have seen how cells form tissues and tissues form organs, but in a complex living body, no organ is an island. To survive, organs must be part of a larger coordinated network. These are the organ systems, which are high-level departments of life. What is the concept here of life-sustaining function? As an organ system is defined as a group of organs working together to perform a complex life-sustaining function. Think of it like a massive corporation. The finance department or logistics is not just one person. It is a whole floor of people with different tools working toward one big goal, like keeping the company profitable. In your body, the goal is keeping you alive. And these all organs work together as a team to keep you alive. The most important thing to understand about organ system is integration. Okay, integration. No system works in isolation. For example, your digestive system is an expert at breaking down food into tiny molecules. But once that food is broken down, the digestive system has no way to move it to your toes or your brain. Okay, it relies entirely on the circulatory system to act as the delivery truck, picking up those nutrients and transporting them to every other cell in the body. Okay, and this happens everywhere. Your respiratory system brings in oxygen, okay, uh, uh, but it needs the heart to pump that oxygen around. Your excretory system filters waste, but it needs the blood to bring the waste to the kidneys first. This team of teams is what allows a multicellular organism to grow large and complex. If one system slows down, every other system feels that impact. So remember, my dear students, organs provide the specialized service, but organ system provide the large scale results. And life is very beautiful, synchronized dance between these different departments. As an exam tip, when defining an organ system, always emphasize that it is a group of different organs. If you say different tissues, you are defining an organ, okay? So if you say different organs, you are defining a system. Keep this difference in your mind and you should memorize it very accurately and precisely. Now that we have understood the concept of a system, let's look at the three most critical high-level departments in the animal body. Each one handles a primary task that keeps the entire organism in balance. First of all is the circulatory system, which is also the logistic network. Think of this as the body's massive logistics and transport network. What are the organs involved in the system? First of all is the heart, which is the pump, and the blood vessels, which are the highways, okay, including arteries, veins, and even tiny capillaries. Their mission, their main goal is to transport everything. It carries oxygen and nutrients to the cells and picks up hormones and waste products like carbon dioxide to be dropped off elsewhere. So without this system, your cells would starve and down in their own waste. The second one is digestive system. This is the body's fuel processing plant. Okay, the involved organs are stomach, esophagus, intestines, liver, pancreas. Okay, these are the organs involved in this system. Their mission is to break down large insoluble food molecules like a piece of bread into tiny soluble ones like glucose. But why they do it? Because only soluble molecules are small enough to be absorbed into the blood and used by your cells for energy. It turns your dinner into molecular fuel. Finally is the respiratory system. This is where the body meets the atmosphere. The organs involved are lungs, trachea, which act like windpipe, bronchi, and the diaphragm muscle. Okay, their mission is gas exchange. Their job is to take in the oxygen needed for respiration and remove the carbon dioxide produced as a byproduct. It is the essential in and out service which keeps your blood fresh and oxygenated. So remember, the digestive system prepares the fuel, respiratory system provides the oxygen, and the circulatory system delivers them both to every corner of the body. They are perfectly synchronized. As a summary of this biological hierarchy, okay, cell, that is basic unit of life, tissue is a group of similar cells, organ is the collection of different tissues working together, organ system is a group of organs together, for example circulatory system, and organism is all system working together as one. So remember, what is the ladder here? Ladder is cells make tissues, tissues make organs, organs make systems, and systems make the organism. So you should not forget that plants also have organ systems. The two main systems in plants are the shoot system, everything above ground, leaves, stems, flowers, fruits, seeds, everything, and the root system, everything below ground. Make sure you can identify these as systems of coordinated organs. So if you are asked to put heart, muscle cell, circulatory system, muscle tissue in order of increasing complexity, what will be your answer? I am waiting for your answer in the comments section. Okay. Now we have reached the top of the ladder. That is an organism, which is the culmination of biological organization. It is the point where various systems integrate to maintain a stable internal environment, something we call homeostasis, and interact with the world around them. But how do we define a living individual? If you remember the first lecture, you can easily understand this one, that scientists use a specific checklist of 7 fundamental processes. Okay, you can remember them with the a mnemonic or an acronym, that is Mrs. Gren. Okay, this is Mrs. Gren. This is M for movement, R for respiration, S for sensitivity, G for growth, R for reproduction, E for excretion, and N for nutrition. So if an entity can perform all 7 of these, it is officially an organism. Whether it is a giant beluga whale or a tiny blade of grass, they all follow these same rules of life. It is very easy to think of organisms as big things like humans or trees, which are multicellular, made of billions or even trillions of cells, organized into tissues and systems. But do not forget, a single cell, a single cell, which is called as unicellular organism, like a bacterium or an amoeba. Those are also incredible because a single microscopic unit performs all 7 life processes on its own. They are a one cell army. Okay, so the true magic of an organism is its ability to maintain homeostasis. This is the process of keeping things stable inside even when the outside world changes. Your system work together to keep your temperature steady, your water levels balanced, and your energy constant. It is the ultimate team effort of every cell we have studied so far. So remember, an organism can be one cell or trillions, but it must be able to carry out 7 functions of life. Mrs. Gren, okay? It is the point where biology becomes a living story. Now we have spent this entire chapter taking the cell apart to see how it works, but now let's put it all back together. An organism is not just a collection of parts. It is a perfectly synchronized symphony where every system communicates in real time. For example, we have sometimes we make exercise, okay, sometimes no. We should regularly take exercise, okay. The best way to see this is during exercise. Imagine you start running, instantly your muscular system begins to demand a massive amount of energy, okay. To get that energy, your muscle cells need to perform respiration at a much higher rate, which means they need two things: more fuel and more oxygen, okay. But how the other departments respond to this demand? Respiratory system does not wait. It immediately increases your breathing rate to pull more oxygen into the lungs. The circulatory system kicks into high gears. Your heart pumps faster and your vessels dilate to deliver that fresh oxygen and glucose to the working muscle as quickly as possible. And this is a perfect loop. The lungs grab the air and the heart delivers the cargo. But how do the heart and lungs know the muscles are working? That is the job of the nervous system. Okay, that is the job of the nervous system. It acts as the master conductor, sending instant electrical signals to coordinate all these changes. It monitors your carbon dioxide levels and muscle tension, adjusting every other system speed to ensure your body stays in balance, maintaining that homeostasis that which we have discussed earlier. So remember, you do not just breathe or pump blood. Your body performs a massive integrated feat of engineering every single second, from the tiny ribosomes building proteins to the organ system coordinating a sprint. Okay, every level of organization is essential. So, if an exam asks for an example of how systems work together, the exercise example is the strongest one to use. Be sure to mention at least three systems: nervous system, respiratory system, and circulatory system to show a full understanding of integration. These are the examples of organisms and their systems. Okay. Animals example is human, plant example is oak tree, fungi example is mushroom, and prokaryote example is bacterium. Okay, E. coli, that is a bacterium name. Okay, a species. So when defining an organism, the keyword is independent. While a heart is alive, it cannot survive on its own. It is part of an organism. So an organism is the smallest unit which can exist independently in its environment. Remember, students often forget that a bacterium is an organism. Okay, I am again and again reminding you this, that organism is a functional status which can that it can do Mrs. Grant. Okay, this is not, there is no size requirement. If an organism performs these seven functions, that is considered as an organism. Okay. Now this slide covers the specialist of the human body. While we have looked at plant cells, these animal specialists are often the stars for your exam because their structures are so drastically different from the typical animal cell. For example, think of a specialized cell as a professional worker, just as a chef carries different tools than a mechanic. A red blood cell that has a completely different toolkit than a sperm cell. Their shapes are not random. They are engineered for a specific carrier. Okay. So first, let's look at the red blood cell, as you can see on your screen. Okay. These are also called as erythrocytes. Okay. Their job is to deliver oxygen from your lungs to every single tissue in your body. And to do this perfectly, it adopts a biconcave disc shape, like a donut. Okay. This is the shape, okay, of a red blood cell, like a donut without the hole. Okay, donut without a hole. This flattened shape increases the surface area for oxygen. Now you remember, more the surface area, that is the function. Okay, so the surface area, increase in surface area for oxygen is to then it to diffuse in and out. So inside they are packed with a red pigment called the hemoglobin, which acts like a chemical magnet for oxygen molecules. Next is the sperm cell, one of the most specialized cells in the human body. Okay, unlike most of the cells, it has to survive and function outside the male body to reach its goal, that is fertilization. So every part of it is a tool. First of all is acrosome. Okay, this is acrosome. Here is the very tip which secretes enzymes to digest the wall around the egg. Okay, then is the midpiece that is packed with mitochondria to provide the constant energy required for the journey. Okay, then the tail, then the next one is its tail. Okay, its tail, which is also called as flagellum. Okay, it moves with a whip-like action, allowing the cell to swim toward the egg. So notice here that what is missing in these cells. Mature red blood cells actually get rid of their nucleus. Okay, but the question is why they do not have nucleus or they get rid of this nucleus. The answer is to make more room for hemoglobin. Okay, the sperm cells keeps its nucleus in the oval head. Here you can find its nucleus, okay, in the oval head, but it's stripped down to just the essential genetic information. So in both cases, the cell sacrifices general parts to become elite at its specific job. That is why they are known as specialized cells. Okay, so remember, the red blood cell is the ultimate delivery vehicle and the sperm cell is the ultimate traveler. Their structures are the perfect examples of form following function, or you can say shape following function. uh, Lastly, biology is not just about diagrams. Okay, it is about precision. When we look at a cell under a microscope, we need to know exactly how much larger it is than in real life. To do that, we use the most famous tool in the lab, the IM triangle method. Okay, before we calculate, uh, I'm talking about magnification. Okay, so before we calculate, we have to know our variables. I is for image size. This is what you see on the paper. It is the measurement you take with your ruler when looking at a drawing or a photograph. A, this here, A is the actual size. Okay, this is the real life microscopic size of the biological specimen. Real life microscopic size of the biological specimen. Usually this is too small to see with the naked eye. Then M, that is for magnification. This tells us how many times larger the image is compared to the real object. If the magnification is times 100 times, the picture is 100 times bigger than the real cell. Okay, but the question is how to use this triangle, IM triangle method. The easiest way to remember these formulas is to visualize the triangle. Just cover the letter you are trying to find with your finger and the remaining letters tell you the calculation. So for example, to find magnification, cover the letter M. You are left with I over A. So M is the fraction of I over A. And to find actual size, then cover the letter A. Okay, and you are left with I and M. Okay, so that is A is equal to I over M. And to find image size, then cover the letter I. Okay, then you can easily calculate by multiplying M with A. That is M for magnification and A is for actual size. So by multiplying magnification and actual size, you can find the image size. So what is the golden rule here? The golden rule of units here is that there is one trap just always fall into. Before you do any math, your I and A, okay, this I and A means image size and actual size must be in the same units. Usually that is millimeters, okay, or micrometers. You can't divide millimeters by micrometers. I shall explain you with the example in the next slide. Okay, you should be very clear about it, that always convert the unit first, then calculate. If you will use both units, that is millimeters for image size or micrometer for actual size, then you cannot conclude with a correct answer. Okay, so first of all is the unit conversion. We will practice this conversion in the next slide. So as a summary, remember I is on top, A and M are on the bottom. So cover that you need and the triangle does the work for you. Master this and you have secured some of the easiest marks in the entire biology exam. So this is the golden rule which I explained to you just in the previous slide. I think move to the next slide where the actual calculation is there. No doubt theory is great, but let's see if we can actually use it. Imagine you are looking at a past exam paper, okay, and you see this question. An image of a mitochondrion is 30 millimeter long. Remember this, 30 millimeter long. The magnification is 15,000x. So what is the actual size? This is your requirement. You to find out the actual size. So first of all, do not panic. Just follow 4 easy steps. First of all, identify your variables. First of all, what do we know? We have the image size, okay, that is 30 millimeter long. Okay, this is the image size, 30 millimeter long, and we have also have the magnification m, that is 15,000. This is magnification 15,000x. Okay, this is the magnification 15,000. The question is asking for the actual size. If we look at our IM triangle method, we know what to find. We need to find actual size, that is a. So we need to divide I by m. We need to divide I by m. This is step 1, which we already have. Okay, that is the image size and the magnification. Step 2, we shall multiply this 30 with the with 1000. Why? Because 30 is 30 millimeter. We shall convert 30 millimeter into micrometers. Okay, for that we shall have to multiply 30 with 1000. When we shall divide multiply 30 with 1000, we shall have 30,000 micrometer. The third step is applying the formula. We are going to find actual size, because in question it was asked that what is the actual size. So actual size determination formula is dividing image size with magnification. So image size is not 30. Okay, image size is not 30. This is now 30,000 micrometer. Okay, 30,000 micrometer. So we shall divide 30,000 micrometer with this magnification, that is 15,000, and then we shall find the answer, that is 2 micrometer. So in this way we can easily calculate the actual size if we are given image size and the magnification size. Now we need to convert this image actual size to the other unit. If you remember, if you know that in question we were given 30 millimeter. Okay, if the question is given in millimeter, then we shall provide the answer in the same unit. Okay, for converting millimeter to micrometer, we multiplied 30 with 1000, and if we are now converting micrometer to millimeter, then we shall divide the micrometer with 1000. Okay, so if we shall divide 2 with 1000, then the answer will be 0.002 millimeter, which is much harder to visualize and often leads to making errors. So always use millimeters on your ruler, okay, never centimeters. This is a tip for you. Okay, it makes the math very clear. If you can multiply by 1000, you can pass this exam. This is not very tough. If you understand this conversion, you can easily calculate it, and you can try with other questions. You can have that in previous your past papers in your book. Okay, and you can even conceptualize this question to for your practice.